The past is the past. We can't change it. If you hang on to the past for too long, be it in relationships, be it in monetary values, you are stuck in a place which you can't influence at all. Health is the most important. When you haven't got it, you are in a difficult place. So I would really try that everybody is having a very, very good health system. No first class, no second class. There is a certain relaxedness of having succeeded, despite the fact that you had your difficulties. But I think that having succeeded in managing the difficulties is a big element as well in having this freedom. There were adverse situations. I mean, I had very adverse situations, but that you need to deal with it then and there. Look for those rare birds, and I will make an analogy. Many, many years ago, I went shooting in England, and I was doing terribly. A cousin of my father's took me by the hand and said, "Don't aim around at all different things. Take one bird, go with it, pull through it, pull the trigger, and it will come down."
So, Mr. Csaba, welcome to the stage. It was a great honor to have you here, and it's always a situation where we can start to talk from any angle and to go to any direction. It's kind of a freedom. And I thought this morning that there is a saying, "Holy instant." Holy instant, it's approximately the same as here and now. And to be here and now, in this situation when we have lights and video people around, it's kind of, from one side, it's not easy. Easier to be in here and now in a bar with gin and tonic, or
Vodka tonic.
Like yesterday, yes. But anyway, for me, here and now, by the way, is that we talk each other like first time, like I don't know anything about you. Of course I know, but I try to not to bring that past memories about you in today. And this gives me opportunity to open something more, to hear something more or different. How is your relationships with past and future? Where are you? For example, now, where are you now? You are more in past, more in future. You want to achieve something, or you stay always?
Well, first of all, thank you very much for having me. It's very, very kind of you. Well, I'm a rather positive person, and I'm always looking into the future. The past is the past. We can't change it. If you hang on to the past for too long, be it in relationships, be it in monetary values, you are stuck in a place which you can't influence at all. So I'm always looking forward, and being here with you, with your son, with your colleagues, is as well a big step into the future. How can we collaborate? What will be the outcome of this road in which we have engaged, where we hope to achieve big things? And I think that's basically my setting in life.
Yes.
I've learned that a bit from my father. If he would have been thinking back when he emigrated to Austria, I think my sister and I would never be in that lucky position, because he was looking forward. He said the past was the past, and now we are here, and we need to rebuild from where we are.
Yeah, fantastic comment and answer. Anyway, in the world, in our lives, we are playing different roles, and you touched one of your roles in my world. You are your profession, what you do in the world. But there's another role, definitely, who you are genetically, where you come from. And this story, which I heard from you, it's so amazing. And who you are? You are Romanian, Hungarian, Armenian, or who you are? How do you? Can you tell that story today?
Well, let me put it differently. My Hungarian friends would put me as a Transylvanian. Hungarian, Armenian, Transylvanian. In the 17th century, our family arrived via Moldova into Transylvania. From Armenia.
Yeah. How do you know that? From stories, or there's some written?
Well, there's written evidence.
Yeah. Oh.
One of my former chairmen was making fun of me because he said, "I don't know who my father was, and you can go back 500 years."
Yeah, it's amazing. And do you know the place where that your part of family lived in Armenia?
No, that I don't know. So actually, we know more or less till 1600 where they settled, how, and after that, clearly, it's very well documented, because in 1760 we got a noble title. So from then on, and a few generations up, everything is perfectly documented by a church or via archives.
But still, step by step. So your roots come from Armenia, and then who did move to where? It's a one person, one family, more people, big people?
No, it was, there were apparently, so that, I must be careful, my father had a great storytelling capacity. Over the years, I had to understand that maybe some of his stories were a bit embellished. But some of his stories, which are wonderful, like he said, he had a teddy bear, a real bear. Do I believe him today that he had a real bear, or that my grandfather would have bought him a real bear? I don't think so. But when I was a 4-year-old boy, and he was holding me in his arm and trying to make me to sleep, then the story of the bear was the most wonderful story, how he was rolling down the hill with his bear. And so there was a big wave of Armenians leaving Armenia. Once again, there was some kind of a dispute with the favorite neighbor, and they came into Moldova, and from there they had an agreement with the Transylvanian Duke.
Transylvania was part of what?
Of Hungary. An independent dukeship or Grand Duchy under the Hungarian crown, but independent. Independent taxation, independent everything.
So Transylvania was a part of Hungary.
Was one of the parts of Hungary.
Yeah.
As part of Croatia. If you look at the Hungarian big emblem, you have got one part which is the seven, a little crest with 7 castles, and that's Transylvania, the sign for Transylvania. And then within that, you've got a special part of the Hungarians, which are the székei, as we say in Hungarian.
How you say it?
Székei.
Yeah.
And that is a blue back with a yellow half moon with a star. So that is one part of Transylvania.
Mm-hmm. And this part of your family is settled in the Transylvania and in some kind of village or town, or what was that? So
the thing was that we were given by the Duke 4 villages to settle. And the Transylvanian Armenians became the biggest cattle merchants, and that is very well documented. So from Transylvania, they went all the way up to Hungary, where we had another estate, where after 1,000 kilometers of walking, The cows stayed for a few months. They ate, and then they walked another 300 kilometers to Vienna, where we had another estate outside of the slaughterhouse, where the cows again ate a bit, and that's all before trains and all of that happened. So it all happened by bringing them to where the food was needed.
I see. So, and then how the story goes on with, it is not anymore Hungary, yeah? Hungary.
Well,
how did it happen and what time? And
well, the story goes that we somehow, God knows how, ended up with a large estate. My great-grandfather, who was a big arborist, he liked arboretums, took out of his 11,000 hectares of land, took out 48 hectares and made something which he donated or he gave access to the city. So there were 4 Armenian villages, Evzsébetváros, Gyergyó-Szentmiklós, Csíksomlyó, Csíkszeveda. They were mainly Armenian dominated.
Your family was not only one who moved to Hungary?
No. I think there were 3,000 people who arrived in one go. According to my family, my father's stories, we were the big duke who left Transylvania for Hungary. I would put it into the teddy bear story.
But anyway, 11,000 hectares, it sounds like proves that point.
Well, Hungary had big estates. So if you think about it, my godmother's estate was 240,000 hectares. They were the largest Hungarian landowners, Esterházy. So Hungarian estates are very large. It's a flat land.
Enormous. Yes.
And they were very, very wealthy. So 11,000 sounds a lot today, but in those days it wasn't, because you needed land for trees and for cattle. So you need for 1 hectare for a horse or a cow. So if you've got 1,000 or 2,000 cows, well, you need already 2,000 hectares so that they can eat.
Good point. In my countryside, I have only 120 hectares. I'm missing some thousands.
Well, we need to organize.
Yeah, definitely.
I would be happy if I would have 120 hectares in the countryside.
Okay, but anyway, so what happened with that part of Hungary and how?
So what happened, the family had land, made money, and that is well documented. So they went into banking, what the English would call merchant banking. So they were financing trade and made a lot of money out of that. Then comes the First World War, Hungary, Austria being on the losing side, and at Trianon, the Hungarian who didn't get along with Mr. Clemenceau, who was negotiating from the French side, was cut down to 1/3 of its earlier size.
So 1/3 from Hungary remained with Hungary.
Yeah, everything else. So you've got on the bordering side, and there people still speak Hungarian. So in Slovakia, they speak Hungarian. They have roughly got 1 million people. Then in Croatia, there's a part where they speak Hungarian. In Serbia, there's a part where they speak Hungarian. In the Ukraine, there's a part where they speak Hungarian. And unfortunately, the Hungarian minority, as well as the Russian minority, has not been treated well. So there is a big tension there. And then in Transylvania, we still have got roughly 3 million Hungarians. And many years ago, I went to Transylvania with my boys, and I rented a car in Bucharest. I drove up all the way. The road was a disaster. One of my sons was traveling with me, and I think for 400 kilometers it took us 10 hours. But when I pulled into a petrol station, nobody came out because I had a car which was registered in Bucharest. So I went into the petrol station and spoke in Hungarian, and right away they were dealing with me very, very nicely. So it's a very compressed part, and I'm hearing that from my wife, who is Transylvanian, but Romanian Transylvanian, that the Hungarian minority is sort of the kingmaker in the Romanian parliament. We hold 4 or 5% of the seats, and
explain me that kingmaker means
that they make the prime minister. So if the prime minister is not having an absolute majority, then very often they're trying to negotiate with the Hungarians, and the Hungarian minority, if they like what they hear, they support the government.
Sounds like veto rights, no? Something.
I would put it in a positive way.
Okay, but after 1919, this so-called anti-peace agreement, who took those 2/3 of Hungary? It's not France, of course.
No. Slovenia, the Ukraine
separated.
Yeah, it was simply cut off.
Yeah, but your family stayed in Pennsylvania.
My great-grandfather stayed. Yeah. My grandfather had already gone to Budapest earlier, as he was a member of parliament and a lawyer in Budapest. And there was a big Armenian community in Budapest as well. And as in Budapest there was a big Jewish community, the Armenians and the Jews always got along well. So,
but which nation is better in sneaky deals?
Well,
I heard about Armenians; they are very.
Well, I think that they're very. They're very good in business. Yeah. And there's a saying: it takes 10 Jews for one Armenian to outdo it. That's just a fun expression.
So I'm honored to have you here.
But I'm not sitting here, 10 of me. But we get along very well with the Jewish community, and it's just as life evolves. And then, so my grandfather was living in Budapest, and then comes the Second World War. Then comes 1947, when the communists took over. Came to see my grandfather, who was living in his villa in the hills, and told him to leave. The house was divided into what was then allowed 75 square meter flats, and legally it became the ownership of the railways. So some upper echelon of the railways moved into our house, and my grandfather became a swine herder. So he was, because we had to be re-educated. So my aunt and my uncle ended up really 250 kilometers away from Budapest, in the middle of nowhere, so that they could be re-educated. My father, who spent a lot of time in Russian prison camp, actually, that's a funny story, because he actually went twice to Siberia. Once as a war prisoner, and the second time because he was, I can't define it in any other way, an idiot or chasing after girls. And with my godfather, they were caught going over one of the bridges under curfew, and the Russians were just putting people together, and two had fled, and they took my father and and his best friend, and they were back on the train for a long ride to Siberia.
Yeah, do you know what Siberia, what part? Do you remember that part of story? Magadan or?
I couldn't tell you, but one day my father gave me one day in the life of Ivan Denisovich and said that's how it was. So from there, I know that, and clearly being an aristocrat wasn't very well seen. And I vividly remember that my father said to me, when he saw his best friend after many years again in the street, he said to my father, "Don't talk to me because I need to report on you." So
quite dark times.
That was the way it was.
Okay. And yes, it probably it applies for all this Soviet or socialistic system, but it ended in the 90s probably, yeah? Or how was that? There was this not privatization. You got back those properties as family, or
in as you know, we had the Hungarian Revolution in '56.
Yes,
which went the wrong way, and my father emigrated to Austria. So I was already born, and my sister, we were both born in Vienna. And this is the moment, coming back to the beginning of our talk, when my father really said, okay, no more landed gentry, no more banking possessions, either on the left or on the right side. I've got nothing, and we start from new. And he actually started out as a salesman of soap, liquid soap.
Yes.
And then he got into trading industrial washing machines. He made very good money. And like that, he could afford to give to my sister and myself a very, very good education. So I think that with that, he built the first stepping stone of the family. And fast forward, as you were mentioning, the privatization, I returned to Hungary after having spent my earlier careers. Once it was after university at Merrill Lynch, which was then the largest American investment bank. They funnily took me into the one-year training course by, I would say, by mistake. So the story was that in this training course, you always end up with a second person in the room. The room being not 9 square meters, but a 45, 50 square meter apartment. So there were always two who were there. And the guy next to me in the bed, not in the same bed, but the bed was half a meter from me, was a very, very nice and funny Belgian guy. And he still is 10 years older than me. And we got along extremely well. He's one of my best friends today. And one day we are being called to the head of international, a Spaniard. I don't know his name anymore, but I always called him Marqués de la Mancha de la Plancha, a very, very proper Spaniard. And he said to us in French, we always thought that you two idiots would never make the training course. The training course started off with 417 people, and we ended up 95 at the end. So you had to be on time. You had to actually deliver what you were supposed to do. We were rather sneaky, or they were very, very kind to us. And then they kept us for another year so that we could just stay in New York. Francis very cleverly negotiated a little bit of a larger wallet for us. And so that was my first job. Then I joined Prudential Beige. They didn't really know what to do with me because I wanted to do
It was where?
Prudential. I was based for Merrill Lynch in Frankfurt, but I was in the New York and in the London office. And then Prudential base was Munich, which was what is called a retail office. So they were dealing with retail investors. And the Bavarians being very rich, there was a lot of retail money there. But I didn't want to do that. I wanted to deal with institutions, with big banks who would not give you an order of 100 IBM, but who would ask, can I buy 10,000 IBM? And then I somehow ended up by luck in Luxemburg, where I had a wonderful boss, a French guy, completely mad, married to one of the richest American women. She holds the certificate of Exxon Standard Oil #1. And the reason for that is that her great-grandfather used to make whale oil. And Rockefeller, when he stuck oil in Texas, didn't have a refinery. So he went over to this guy and said, listen, buddy, why don't we team up? You've got refinery, I've got oil, and let's make money together. So the old Pratt had the Standard Oil certificate #1.
Mm-hmm. Quite a value.
I think they did very well. And then we built a very, very good operation. One of my main partner and one of my best friends, Jewish, came from the Paris office, and we built the table into the second largest financial future center after Chicago. And then in 1990, when the cracks in the wall started, I became a founding member of the Budapest Stock Exchange. I then moved back to Budapest. And at the opening of the Budapest Stock Exchange, my former wife was walking down the stairs next to the head of securities of Kreditanstalt, which was the largest Austrian bank. And he was asking her, so Barbara, what are you doing here? And she said, well, my husband is a founding member of this thing, and he's going to be the biggest investment banker. And said, don't do that. He shouldn't join. He should come and work for us. And 6 weeks later, after my wife was nagging me every evening, have you signed? Have you signed? Have you signed? I joined the board of Kreditanstalt and spent 2 years with them, and then set up
Hungarian Kreditanstalt.
Austrian Kreditanstalt. Austrian Kreditanstalt, which is actually the only Rothschild bank which ever went into bankruptcy in 2020.
Is it, your resistance, or how was that?
No, it wasn't. It was without my assistance. It was in the world crisis in 29.
Oh. Mm-hmm.
They had overextended themselves, and they were bailed out by the Austrian state. So Kreditanstalt became a state-owned asset until the mid 90s. A little small part free float, but mainly owned by the state.
I see. And from there you moved to some different direction.
Well, I spent between 1990 and 96, 97, I spent in Budapest. My wife had decided not to join Budapest, so I was traveling out every evening or every Sunday evening, which unfortunately led to the breakup of our marriage. And then I moved to London in 98. I was in London from 98 to 2004. The reason was that the Hungarian political system, the micmac, once conservative, then the old communists came back, and just didn't suit me. I just wanted to do proper transactions. And I think that was one of my big mistakes, because everybody was taking advantage of the system. And as you mentioned, privatization, there were a lot of funny deals done, and there are funny deals done till today. And I wonder how much money there must be in Hungary that still people can sort of benefit of it. But in the privatization days, it was unbelievable. It was unbelievable. Compensation vouchers. I was advising.
It was the same year, so it's end of 90s.
Early 90s.
Early 90s, yes.
91, 92. So coming back to your question, did we get anything back? No, for the very simple reason that my father said, I'm living very well. If I now am going to start privatizing and trying to take back whatever we had and how much little we would get back, I would have to argue with my sister, and he didn't want to do that.
Very clever.
He had one argument with her when my aunt left Hungary. She took the family jewelry. And when my father was in Vienna, he said to her, well, could you please give me a few diamond rings like that? I could sell it. And to which my aunt said, you got the property and the girls get the jewelry. And she took off with the jewelry to the States. And my father said, okay, that was enough. He was upset about that. And he didn't want to.
You don't want to spoil the relationships more. Yeah?
Exactly.
Very smart move. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's very interesting you said about this 90s in Hungary. Let's call it privatization or whatever. The same happened in our country, and we participated, as I told you yesterday, in privatized one object in Latvia successfully, and it became a cornerstone of our current business. We are in, as you know, we are in industrial park development business, and this year is a 30th anniversary since we established our business group, Nordic Partners, and I'm sure there will be several events because of that, and if there will be good enough in event, you are invited to participate in.
Thank you very much. It's very kind of you. Well, and as you mentioned yesterday, I was looking at your asset base, and you've created something fantastic. As you know, we are into sustainability today, but when I look how you are carefully recreating out of something which is maybe not as energy efficient as it should be, and speaking to your management board and your son, the view is very, very clear how to make this into a powerful asset base with stable revenue streams, which at the end of the day is what gentlemen like you and I should have, a good revenue stream. We know people are paying at the end of the months. We know what our operating costs are, and we can live with it very, very well, because we don't need to prove anything to anybody. So
yeah, it is there is a word freedom in it, meaning of freedom, and it's very interesting that as you mentioned, this privatization or revolutions, they change setup in the countries, economical and business and so on, and there are big changes going on, and there's always good and bad at the same time. But for us, it gave opportunity to step into a much bigger, wider business, and thanks to that, we have now foundation which makes us free to make next step free, because we we have everything what we need, we are happy, and we can play just bigger and kind of with joy and enjoy business as an opportunity, not as a need to prove something or achieve.
Yes, and I think so when I look at, if I look at your group, there is a certain relaxedness of having succeeded, despite the fact that you had your difficulties. But I think that having succeeded in managing the difficulties is a big element as well in having this freedom. Saying, we did, there were adverse situations. I mean, I had very adverse situations, but you need to deal with it then and there. And I think that you dealt very, very well with it. I've got friends here in Riga, main lawyers. When I asked them about you personally and your group, we all need to make our due diligence. We need to find out who are these people who would like to work with us, and the feedback was just a resounding, very good people, and a few times we have got chance to sit together. Even yesterday, our discussions, I was walking home with a big smile on my face. The freedom to feel, the freedom to act, the freedom not to have to take every deal. Yes. Look for those rare birds. And I will make an analogy. Many, many years ago, I went shooting in England. And I was doing terribly. I mean, I shot many holes into the sky, but no birds were coming down. And then there is something which is called the number 5 peg, which is where generally most of the birds will converge. And it was before lunch, and a cousin of my father's, Count Pejacevic, took me by the hand and said, Čabikam, which means little Csaba. Don't aim around at all different things. Take one bird, go with it, pull through it, pull the trigger, and it will come down. And so it happened. So I think that this is where we are. At our age, you are much, much younger than me, we now need to select the birds we are chasing. And I think this is where, again, this freedom, which I have, and I've got a wonderful wife who runs our firm on a day-to-day basis. So she's having more gray hair, I think, than I'm having. I've got no hair, but she's got more gray hair. No, I'm just joking. But it gives me the freedom to be looking at opportunities. And we spoke about it yesterday. I'm a little bit, and you know that I've got a 4-year-old daughter. I'm very, very proud of her. She's a wonderful little girl, dashing around.
What's her name?
She's having 4 names.
4 names.
So the 2 names of the mothers. So Evžebet, my name, Tatiana, the name of my mother-in-law, Sarah, the chosen name by my wife, and Maria, because she was born on Maria's name day. And
how you deal with those names? How you call her?
I call her either Bunny or Butzi. My wife knows it. Sarah is not my favorite name, but I'm happy to go along. At the end of the day, she's going to be choosing what she wants to be called. And I'm very, very happy for that. In school, I think they call her Sarah. I don't know how she's referring to herself, but she writes her name and she writes Sarah. So And all of this just gives me the ability to be here with you, to be talking to you, and to be looking at real opportunities. What can we do? Because what my grandfather said, when my grandmother passed away very young, he said to my father, his biggest problem is educating my father today with yesterday's experience for tomorrow. And here we sit with an AI, which is something very impressive, very helpful. But what will be the tool which will come after the AI? So if we think, you and I, we were born in a world where there was a phone. In Hungary, not everybody had a phone. In the 1990s, Hungary, and I presume here as well, the mobile phone arrived. That was a big technological jump. Then came the internet. Now, the internet or the Googles are being replaced by AI. AI will replace a lot of things, will make a lot of things much, much faster. But what will be the next thing? So this is one of the things I'm thinking about, how to position this little family, which consists.
You are in the field of predictions and forecasts. My attitude is I'm ready because I'm born ready. My partner teach me that I don't have to get ready. I'm always ready because I'm born ready, and whatever comes, it comes, and then I deal with that. But I appreciate what you said. But few comments going back. Thank you for good words. What you heard from some Latvian business or legal society. I'm honored to hear it, but I feel that it is true. Yeah, we have dealt through good and bad times, difficult times in a nice way, with appreciation to our partners and to employees and to everyone. No dead bodies behind us. And I liked what you said about this shooting. When someone asks me the world is so full with opportunities, there is businesses here and there and everywhere, and how to do and which to use, then one of ways how I answer or comment is that I recommend to be as a woodpecker. You know, you take one goal and you just in the same direction, and then, as we know, this woodpecker, it succeeds. It gets this worm out of wood, and similar with businesses. Of course, we can always discuss about it, but we have learned in our business that the so-called core business is important. That's where our expertise is. We feel good like a fish in the water, and there's always a greener grass kind of in other fields of businesses. But thanks God, I have very firm and stable partners from Iceland, very experienced as a Vikings. You know, that's real powerful people, and they have taught me to stay in this core business, and therefore we call it now industrial park development. But still, there are certain areas which have developed out of this basic foundation, as you know, because of our cooperation. The energy sector have moved out, and for example, digitalization, BIMization. I'm so proud that our new management, our new board, have digitalized everything in our company. And 2 years ago, it for me was, what does it mean? We have everything in computer, all finance reports. But now for me, digitalization is that value of our business consists of everything what a business consists of, yeah? Because we know everything. Sewer system, energy supply, brick in a toilet or floor, and everything becomes a part of value. And it is very nice way to create business value, not only EBITDA times, 5 or 10. It is just diminishing all business, other parts. For example, Swiss Rolex, for example. You take Rolex. Value of Rolex. Of course, there's a brand, but also each part of this Rolex is a part of value. Yeah. Okay.
Well, I just wanted to reflect on something. And I think I might have told you that the motto of our family is never make one's happiness on the back of other people's unhappiness. So, and I think that this is something which you and I can relate to very well. And the way you have solved your issues, which I frankly, I need to pull my hat to you. This must have been an extremely difficult period for you, for your partners, for the family, but you came out as a standing and proud man. I think you need to be very, very proud of your management team, which is led by your son. And I think they have really turned around the ship very well.
Exactly.
There's a lot of sweat which is going into it. But yesterday I was quite surprised because I've been giving these boys a hard time.
Thank you for that. I appreciate it.
I'll send you the bill. No, but joke apart, I was trying to explain to them what is the USP of Nordic partners. Because if you want to attract capital, it is delivering on something, showing people that yes, we've got this and this makes a yield, I'm saying a number of 10%. Wonderful. But in the energy transition, and we need to accept that Europe is resource poor. We don't have oil. It's the neighbors in Russia who have got the oil. We haven't got a lot. And there is a lot of, in many industrial processes, there is a lot of excess heat. And we were discussing that yesterday in your site, which is to be developed. That actually, if you have an industrial activity which is having waste heat, if you can take that waste heat and sell it to another tenant, which he needs
Absolutely.
in his industrial process, so I think that what your management team, and thanks to the freedom which you give them to act and to think and to implement, they are thinking about the model of an energy efficient industrial park, which is a real USP. I don't know how many people are thinking about having an activity which has heat. I was in one of the plants yesterday where they're producing some kind of plastic. Well, you didn't need to have a coat on because it was warm. But if you can recuperate that heat, and there are heat pumps and everything to recuperate that, you can increase the heat and sell it to somebody who is in the food industry, who needs 120 degrees heat, then that is a benefit to both tenants. You're taking care of the cooling, and the other one gets something which somebody else doesn't need. And I think that this mix of tenants, which is going to be helpful to reduce the overall emission of your industrial parks, is one of your very, very big USPs.
Yes, thank you for saying that. We own that property 15 years, but somehow it was not the right time to develop. We didn't know what and how to do. But then 2 years ago came this new team, new board, and they say one day, we create their eco-industrial park. I said, give me a break, eco. Everyone is fed up with this eco schmecko, this bullshit. But now I have learned that it is there is really meaning, and now I understand that we really go for eco in all levels. And for example, when my son was studying in Norway and UK, and he was telling me what he's studying, for what kind of profession he goes, he was answering me something which I didn't get. What? I never remembered. Sorry to say that. But now I know what he was studying. He was studying basically, which is behind those words, circular economy and sustainable energy and those things. And now he can put his education, knowledge, and his trust into that field. And it will be first in the eco-industrial park in Latvia. And I'm very interested into that. And it's buildings and even sewer system, as you probably heard, and everything. This energy supply will be green and eco, and it will be big. So it is for me it is emotional, because we created first industrial park in 1998, which is in Olaine. We visited yesterday, and it was big thing in Latvia. No one knew the word. I did not know what it means, industrial park. What kind of park? Only park I knew was measure parks, where everyone goes with the dogs and in the forest. And now we have this opportunity that we will use to create first eco-industrial park. For me, it's kind of a new spiral. Again, first, not that I want to be first always, but it's just good development for personality and for opportunities and for country.
Well, not only for the country, I think that for our grandchildren. One of the reasons why I transformed our whole business into the energy-saving business is that I've got, I think, 4 grandchildren by now. I've got a total of 6 children. I'm sure that there will be more grandchildren. But if I look at my small little daughter, what kind of a world are we leaving behind? Because I believe that there is somebody above us. This all doesn't happen. But yes, I'm sure there is.
Definitely, yes.
I'm sure there is. And there will be a day when a certain part of us will meet him, and he's not going to be happy with everything I did. I already know it. He's going to say, "Why did you have to divorce? Why did you do this? Why did you do that?" So fine, I will find some excuses. Some will be justified, others will be completely unjustified, but let's try. But I want him to say, at least I gave you a bit of brain and you tried to apply it. And you tried to do something good on planet Earth. Maybe I get a few brownie points and I don't need to stand too long in the corner, because I want to see my friends who hopefully made it in there as well. And I think that what you are doing, and this eco park, is something which is a mold which you will be able to replicate. Because it's not very complicated. It is actually cleverly positioning your own tenants and getting the tenant mix right. That is not rocket science.
Yes, I agree.
And tenants are looking at the total cost of rental, which is the building and then the utilities on top of it. If you are able to give him cheap heat, which in his ownership, in his total cost calculation, gives you a competitive advantage, he's always going to choose your property. 1. 2, and you were speaking of sustainability, Schmelter, Delta Schmelter. For many companies and for many investors and for many shareholders, this is extremely important. So being able to say in their annual report, our activity is done in an ESG compliant or EPC efficient building, reusing heat, waste heat, sustainability, circularity, all of these words is something which you can't touch it and you can't feel it. That Mr. Trump doesn't believe in it, so be it. It is a very good point for the EU to insist on this. And we see it very often that other countries are looking to the EU for these forward-looking business models. And if you can refine, as your management team is doing, and they're very, very capable. What I really like about them is they say, let's try this in small. Which is, okay, let's take 1 million or 2, and let's try it with that. If it works in small, it probably is going to work in bigger as well. And I really appreciate their thinking. And the talent of these 3 young managers is just very good. I've got a lot of time for them. And I've got a lot of time for your son, who is very diligently sitting in a complicated chair. I wouldn't want to have his job. On the one side, yes, it's his inheritance. At the same time, he needs to make it efficient for the benefit of all shareholders. Number 3, he's now trying to grow the business, and we are speaking about certain capital market actions. Would I want to? No, I'd rather sit here, talk to you. The younger generation needs to do their thing, but I'm very, very confident that this eco park is going to be something which you will be able to replicate across Europe and then going further.
Thank you for compliments for our team and my son. And you touched that you have so many children and grandchildren. You are rich, and I am rich with 3 children and 2 grandchildren. And it was very interesting. Something like 1.5 years ago, one of our local banks, Swedish bank in Latvia called SEB, invited me to seminar for something like inheritance and this and that. I went there only because I have decided to go wherever I am invited, not because I want there. I would never go in such kind of things before. I went there and it was unbelievable. What was unbelievable for me is that I saw the value of inheritance in business in different eyes. For example, there were business people from Finland, from Sweden, from which is representing like a fifth or sixth generation of inherited businesses, and they have so many complicated systems. 150 members of this ownership. It sounds complicated, but it gives to family such as stable as a stable feeling as possible. Yeah, stability. You have your own business. You know where the wealth comes from, and it changed my mind. For example, I was watching American movies and Richardson and Son. I said, "What the fuck? Father is forcing son to work for his I don't know, warehouse to do something he wanna play violin." Yeah, but now I see it different. And in our family case, it's different because my son came voluntarily, and for me personally, it's two things. I wanted to continue business in a wider and easier way to go for in a deeper waters. But now, because my son is here, it triples my energy, my interest to do that. There is much more logic behind it to invest energy and interest and so. Yeah.
I'm thinking a little bit similarly than you, and as I told you, I'm not in the same lucky position as you are. I'm still counting on my daughter to take over. But yes, this continuity is very important. As I was flying here via Zurich, I bought the Swiss manager magazine, which is called Bilanz. And if you go through the Swiss paper, it's family office, family firms, family firms, family firms, family firms. It's a stable country, has been there for ever. It's having a very good democratic system. So both you and I would say, yes, I made a good money between the 80s and the 90s, but in the 90s, you and I were at the same place, exactly, in privatization.
Yes.
You very ably took the big list and said, let's try to privatize this and this and this. I was on the other side. I was on the advisory business, and I didn't want to have any conflicts of interest, so I missed a lot of opportunities. As we discussed yesterday, hindsight is always 20/20. I could have done things differently. I don't regret it. I'm very happy where we got to. But this continuity of businesses, of looking after one's employees, you bring something, you bring some value, some respect to people, and this is how good landlords or good chairmen of family firms are just looking after their people, so that everybody is having its due at the end of the day, and we all come out better for that.
Yes. I remember when my son said that there is one gentleman comes from Luxembourg. Okay. This is a magic word. It's for me, it sounds like a sign of quality. Even something more special than France or Germany. It's about like I don't know. It's like a jewel. It's Luxembourg means small, but in the same advancement as other European top countries. Why small is important? Because it's you can look at it same as Latvia. Yeah. One day we can drive through. How many hours through Luxembourg? 1 hour. How Luxembourg is big? How big is Luxembourg?
I think that if you accelerate on one corner, and you start braking 5 meters later, you already end up in the next country.
Okay.
So it takes you. So the question needs to be asked at what time of the day. In the evening, you would be through the country in 30 minutes, whichever way you're going. During the day, it can take you 2 hours because there's a lot of people coming in. So the Luxembourg in itself is 600,000 people, residents.
Much more than Liechtenstein. There's 35,000 people. Already.
Exactly. But Liechtenstein is really small. Hans Adam is having a few inhabitants. He is very restrictive on resident permits as well. So not everybody can live there. But coming back to Luxembourg, it is an extremely well organized and managed country. I got into Luxembourg in 1984 for the first time. I got my papers sorted in 5 minutes. You go to the administration, and I still remember when my present wife arrived in Luxembourg the first time, and I said, well, you need to get registered. And she says, well, I'm not going to go there now because I will be there for 5 hours. I said, if you are not out in 5 minutes, then you're probably a criminal. She sat down, she pushed a button, she got a ticket, she went to the registration guy, he gave her documents, he said, welcome to Luxembourg, gave her 4 or 5 books to read. It's extremely well organized. What you probably don't know, that public transport is for free. Mm-hmm. So train, bus, tram, all for free.
It was not so even in the Soviet system, in Soviet Union. I remember there was 4 kopecks for transport. Nice.
It's the country with the lowest debt, and actually one of the people in Luxembourg, everybody knows everybody. So it's.
How did you decide to become a resident of Luxembourg? Are you resident?
Yes.
Taxpayer, you mean?
I'm a Luxembourg taxpayer.
Yeah.
So the notion of a Csaba Csiky being a tax evader, or this is a tax paradise for somebody who is earning money, no. We all pay around 40% tax. But the medical system is extremely good. Where Luxembourg is really leading is in the fund industry. It is leading in family holding companies, in holding companies. So it is the largest fund management center in Europe. Trillions and trillions are being managed out of there. So it's a very, very efficient country. The legal profession is very strong, working very closely together with the regulator. And if you think about it, the health system is just phenomenal. I had a health issue a few years ago. The Luxembourger said, we are not specialized for that, gave me the address of the person who is specialized in Brussels. I saw the bill afterward, 45,000 euros later, and they just paid for it. So it's a very, very efficient country, very well managed, very well managed. Not like when I look at Hungary, when the Hungarian prime minister moves, half the country gets closed down. I have never understood why. He's neither so good looking, not so important that he.
I mean, on the streets.
On the street,
like in Moscow.
Yeah,
it's always the same.
So in Luxembourg, the guys are walking in the street, and you pass by, and you say, "Bonjour, Monsieur le Premier Ministre," and or if you know him, you greet him. So it's a very familiar atmosphere.
What is political system in Luxembourg? Sorry to ask. It's not kingdom. It's not like Liechtenstein.
It's a grand duchy.
Yeah.
It's a grand duchy with the Grand Duke having I would say, ceremonial role. There's a prime minister with a parliament, and they are running the country very efficiently. Small but beautiful. Yeah, I was very lucky that they sent me there, and I've, with the exception of 10 years when I was between London and Budapest, I've always been Luxembourgish resident, and I'll probably die a Luxembourgish resident, and I'm very happy for it.
And another word which was very interesting to me, what I heard from you, is the Porsche clubs. Can you say what it is in human language, how it works, and who are there, and how to get there, and what happens there, without dirty details?
Sorry?
Without dirty details.
No, there's no dirty details. Well, the Porsche Club is what I would... so there's something which is called family offices. Family offices look after the money of a family. It is an important activity because the wealth of big families is just accumulated over the years, and philanthropy needs to be looked after, inheritances need to be looked after. So it's the continuity of the family. And and I refer to it in a funny way as the Porsche Club, because you don't become a family office if you don't have money. There's a certain management process of looking after one's money. So it's not for everybody. But the same thing is true if you buy a Porsche. There is a Porsche Club. The guy who has got a VW, not that the VW is a bad car, because the VW is owned by Porsche, but it is a certain exclusivity of people of a certain, the French would say, assise financière, with a certain amount of wealth, and they are meeting in certain events. Can everybody afford always the same thing? If you go to St. Moritz, where there are a lot of wealthy people coming, that's a gathering place, what I would call for Porsche Club members. People who would sit and watch a polo match or watch a classic car ice race, where people are driving around with things which cost 1-2 million, and they are not afraid of banging it. Same thing is true for an event in the UK, which is called Goodwood. What's Mr. Bean called? Mr. Bean is one of the greatest race car drivers. He is driving his 2 million pound cars like crazy. He's bending his Ferrari constantly. So that's what I would refer as a Porsche Club. People of a certain wealth, of a certain vision, talking to each other, exchanging ideas, co-investing. You know, very often when you sit at a dinner party and you sit next to somebody who is interesting, with whom you sympathize, you've got similar ideas, you've got similar visions, what do? You exchange a card and say, why don't we get together for lunch? And then you sit down and, Daumants, tell me, how did you do this? Oh, interesting. Next time, please think of me. I think we would like to put a little bit of money in there. So it is a lot of club deals where people just are calling, a little bit like what in the old days we used to call the syndicate desk. So on the syndicate desk, you would invite friendly people or friendly banks into a transaction. So Kreditanstalt would call BNP syndicate desk and said, we have got a transaction to do. Would you like to be part of it? And then they look at it and says, yes, we've got some clients for that. Could we please be part of it? So you invite each other into transactions, and not only into transactions, but as you were mentioning, you've got 30 years of your own family firm. Well, you would get invited, and as you very kindly said, well, why don't you come? You will be invited to other events. They think that you are a nice guy. They say, do you like to go sailing? Well, we are with the old sailboats in the south of France. Why don't you join us? It's building relationships which can be beneficially used for doing business. That's the Porsche Club.
I'm looking forward to Porsche Club. But are Bentley owners also welcome? Or?
Well, not in the Porsche Club, but in the Bentley Club, yes.
Yeah. Okay. We start with that.
So it's the same idea.
Yeah.
It's always the same idea.
Yeah.
Being in the same place where people of similar taste, similar liking, similar something get together to move things forward. It's a club.
Definitely. Of course, there are everywhere are clubs, and also Latvia there are very many different clubs. But this like a Porsche club in this meaning. But how you said, that would be nice to organize one here in Latvia with your help.
Well, I'm sure that there are family offices here.
Yeah.
There must be family offices. The Luxemburgers, and again, the Luxemburgers see an opportunity and then create a legal framework around it. And they're very, very clever in that. So one of the most reputable frameworks to have a family office is Luxembourg. There's one in Switzerland, London, Luxembourg. These are the three real centers with tax advantages. You know, if one can reduce taxation in handing over, because there's one thing which I really do not agree with the tax system. If I today make 100,000 euros and I'm paying, let's say, 50% tax, when I'm handing that over to my children, why do I need to pay tax on it again? I could have spent it. I could have gone with you and be drinking Hennessy till the 50,000 euros which is left over is finished. So having a framework of handing over wealth, I think is very, very important and should be used efficiently. Not sure if the Latvian legal system is the right one. Is there demand? Of course. And I think that in today's world, there's a big handover, as we spoke earlier about privatization. People who made money in privatization are now handing over to the next generation.
Absolutely. Okay, Csaba. I see and I know that your presence here in Latvia and in Nordic Partners are adding value not only to Nordic Partners, but also to all our country, and I'm looking forward how it will develop our relationships. And just came last question to you. If you would have all power in the world, all strengths, all money resources, and whatever else, what would you do in the world to change something in the world, to make something better? You have everything, all sources.
Well, I would definitely do one thing, is health system. Health is the most important. When you haven't got it, you are in a difficult place. So I would really try that everybody is having a very, very good health system. No first class, no second class. And I can give you an example. my daughter had a head deformation. My wife caught it. Of course, when you've got a small 3-4 months old little baby, the last thing you want to have is for her to have an operation. And again, the Luxemburger said, we can't do it, but we will pay for it. We found then a hospital in Holland, in Rotterdam, which could do the operation. They had a special department. The operation was done very well. The rooms, they were for 5-6 people. So do you need to have a first-class room? No, because that's like being in the Hilton. You should have enough staff who is not stressed. But this would be the first thing I would do. That everybody, all over the world, and as you said, that I've got now all that money, health system, I would...
Good answer.
I would do.
And in my system of coordinates regarding health, there is a principle of, let's call it matryoshkas, Russian matryoshkas. There's a spirit is everywhere, everything at once, and a mind is in it, in spirit, and the smallest matryoshka is a body. So I wish to you, to all your family members, to each inhabitant of humankind, good health of body, in a good mind, and a good spirit. All three should be in balance and harmony.
It's very much like the Jesuits say, mens sano in corpore sano, a healthy mind in a healthy body.
Thank you so much for
I thank you
for a nice talk and
for the invitation.
Yeah.
And thank you for being able to work for your firm, which is a big honor for us.
Thank you.